Will King of the Hill work in 2025? That's a tough question, and one that could be answered with patience, but screw that noise, let's speculate. First of all, we have to talk about the enduring appeal of Hank Hill, everyone's favorite Arlen, Texas seller of propane and propane accessories. He's representative of a vanishing archetype in American media, the decent, hard-working conservative who isn't a caricature. While most entertainment gives this chunk of humanity short shrift, King of the Hill has always, at the very least, kept Hank as a principled traditionalist who's neither sanctimonious nor reactionary. Okay, maybe a little reactionary. Let's not get too crazy. He's a simple dude with a love of propane and propane accessories, lawn care, Alamo beer, and the great state of Texas. Things that serve as shorthand for deeper values about craftsmanship, community, and taking pride in honest work. Dude's flawed as all get out, for sure, but he's a very specific, somewhat mundane kind of flawed. In today's fractured media landscape, Hank's earnestness could serve as a refreshing counterpoint to the cynicism that pervades modern comedy. His struggles with modernity would translate seamlessly to today's world of social media, streaming services, and remote work. Heck, the trailer for the show even features Hank contending with Zoom calls, gender neutrality, ride-sharing, and craft beer. It's pretty obvious right from the jump that his potential conflicts have only gotten greater in number, especially when you consider all the weird, wholesome topics that might get covered, like that one episode where the big conflict was low-flow toilets. No doubt similar surprises are in store for the upcoming 14th season. Of course, King of the Hill is more than just Hank Hill. It's a whole ensemble of quirky characters whom some of us cherish more than our own children. Please don't tell my child. These characters live primarily in the fictional Arlen, Texas, which would need some updating to reflect how small-town America has changed over the past 16 years. Many Texas communities have been transformed by economic pressures and demographic shifts, meaning a place like Hank's beloved Tom Anderson's Hardware might struggle against big chains, not to mention Amazon Prime. Similarly, the propane and propane accessories industry faces challenges from electric alternatives. This is all fertile ground for stories about adaptation and change, topics King of the Hill is very used to dealing with. What about Dale's bug-killing business, not to mention his work as a bounty hunter? I guess he could be retired, but that seems extremely unlikely given Dale's personality. And how has he grown in this new age of conspiracy theories? Surely there's plenty to explore there.
They know that you know, and now they gotta come after you.
We see in the trailer him apparently torturing Hank, which no doubt relates to some wild theory. However, we know from a panel at the ATX television festival that, per voice actor Toby Huss, Dale has been, quote, outrighted by the right, and that his political views have veered slightly left of right. Of course, this is still Dale we're talking about, so he's still bound to be a little wacky. Then there's Bill. He can be seen in the trailer with a big old beard and a whole lot more body mass. Whatever happened to him is definitely going to get explored, and that should by itself result in a bevy of humorous subplots. The question is, does his massive weight gain have to do with something prescient like COVID, or is it something else entirely? Is it just him missing Hank? And how exactly does he lose the weight, since he's shown in the opening credits sequence as being back to a pretty standard Bill size? Could there be an Ozempic storyline? I don't know. Oh, and then of course you've got the Hill family. Bobby and Peggy are likely to have a ton of their own problems, like Bobby's vegan girlfriend or his Japanese-German fusion restaurant Robata chain. Does he still have dreams of being a comedian, or have those disappeared completely? As for Peggy, we know she and Hank are retired, so what does she get up to now that her days of substitute teaching are behind her? In the original show, she's keen on adding new jobs to her resume every chance she gets. So does she still get restless? If so, what cringe-inducing side quests could she wind up in? Does she wind up with a LuLaRoe side hustle? Oh, maybe she could wind up inadvertently becoming a meme. I can only imagine how someone with Peggy Hill's age and demeanor might react to internet fame. The world's our oyster is what I'm saying here. The point I'm trying to make is that there's plenty for our characters to get up to, thanks in no small part to the sheer size of the cast. There's also Boomhauer, John Redcorn, Nancy Gribble, Luann, Lucky, Con, Connie, and Min, not to mention a whole universe of guest stars and minor recurring characters who could come into play. It's also worth noting that Hank has been gone for years working a propane job in Saudi Arabia, and so questions arise as to how the world he left behind has changed since he's been gone. Obviously, Bill is, progressing in his own way, but how will Hank react to this new world? Heck, presumably, he hasn't even been in America for however many years, so there's going to be a lot to unpack when he arrives back in town. As Mike Judge said in an interview, quote, Hank kinda liked that women were covered up and modest in Saudi Arabia, and that he, quote, comes back and there's a bike lane and a scooter lane. He's looking at all the stuff that's happened in the last 15 years, and there's a whole world of things that would annoy Hank. In addition to the aforementioned changes, we also know that Connie is practicing ethical non-monogamy, so we'll see how the show reacts to the uptick in polyamorous relationships.
Are you eating something? Let me hang up and call back.
Meanwhile, Bobby is not only working out of Dallas of all places, but at his restaurant he's using charcoal instead of propane. That's likely to cause some drama by itself. But beyond the show, there's also the way in which it's being presented. It's a streaming show now, and so that comes with it an expectation for binge watching. King of the Hill has always been a continually evolving show with characters who age and change throughout the seasons. It was a show that rewarded careful viewing and rewatching with subtle jokes and meticulous world building to keep eagle-eyed viewers on their toes. This type of storytelling is perfectly suited to the new age of streaming that King of the Hill has arrived into. However, there's also the opportunity for more long-form storytelling which could infuse itself into this new iteration of the show. While continuity between episodes was always important, it could be more so now that audiences are expected to plow through the whole season once it's all been released. That said, this isn't a Netflix show, so it's still going to be released weekly. I guess what I'm trying to say here is that Judge and his crew could very well keep up the stylistic status quo, but the door is open for more narrative experimentation. King of the Hill was a success for a multitude of reasons, most of all because it found humanity in the mundane and humor in the ordinary. With minor exceptions, it refused to punch down or go for cheap laughs, instead focusing on believable characters and their equally believable flaws. These qualities feel primed and ready to engage in 2025 as America grapples with unprecedented challenges and changes. Exactly how much of the real world King of the Hill will contend with remains to be seen, but chances are that just about anything in culture and politics is on the table. Will King of the Hill work in 2025? I think so. The show's revival doesn't need to reinvent itself to be relatable and entertaining, as its core strengths remain timeless. Instead, it just needs to explore the values and relationships that defined the original series, but played out in a changed world. By maintaining its gentle humanism while addressing contemporary concerns, King of the Hill could once again find that sweet spot between comedy and social commentary that made it such a classic in the first place. As seen in the teaser clip of Hank Hill exploring a museum dedicated to George W. Bush, there's still an easygoing decency at the core of the show, a sort of innocence that gives way to the more adult themes, which are ripe for exploration as the series contends with a reshaped world. King of the Hill is, in the end, both rooted in its setting while also being a special sort of timeless. In a media landscape often dominated by snark and cynicism, there's something radical about a show that believes in that aforementioned decency as well as the human connection at the center of its relationships. These things are what America needs in 2025, and they're exactly what King of the Hill has always delivered. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments, and thank you for watching ScreenRant.